Alright, the title of this screencast is called The Impact of Race on Police Brutality by myself, Joseph Casali. The question that I'll be trying to answer and help make clear for all of you is how much of an impact does race play on an officer's decision to exercise excessive force, incarcerate individuals, and execute car stops? Some evidence that I have from Ferguson to help answer this question is evidence actually from 2013 in Ferguson. Here I have a picture that says all of the things Black people have been involved in um, from police. 483 Black people were arrested compared to the 36 white people that were arrested. And 92% of searches and 86% of car stops involved Blacks. Now, for most people, their first instinct would be, oh, well, this is probably all because of the crime rate, because maybe there's a bigger crime rate in Ferguson than in other places. And they may be right, but in an article that I pulled from the New York Times called What's Been Happening in Ferguson, it says, and I quote, "The violent crime rate is far lower in Ferguson than in Jennings, and it is comparable to two other adjacent towns of similar size." So basically what this means is the crime rate in Ferguson is not unusual to any other crime rates in the area. So basically, all of these statistics that I listed out were based on race. I'm just going to reemphasize the 92% of searches and 86% of car stops involved Blacks. And for some instances, for white cops, it might be, well, they did look suspicious. Maybe they were carrying something. There was some reason to pull them over. And in some cases, I'm sure they're right, but 92% of the searches and 86% of the car stops, I think it's clear that most of those were based on stereotypes and based on racial discrimination, assuming that these Black people were up to no good based on their race. Then, this is the evidence that I call race translates into fear. There's a picture on the right, which I will get to in a second. Okay. So this is a quote that I pulled from U.S. News and World Report. It says, "Cops can get into a state of mind where they're scared to death. When they're in that really, really frightened place, they panic and they act out on that panic. I have known cops who haven't had a racist bone in their bodies and in fact had adopted Black children. They went to Black churches on the weekend, and these are the white cops. But you know what they had in their minds and made them act out and beat a Black suspect unwarrantedly? They had fear. They were afraid of Black men." Well, basically, this quote is just re-emphasizing my point that yes, you're saying that you're afraid of Black men, but why? It's because of their race. I mean, you could say, oh, there was this one guy who was looking, he's a big guy, he's strong, I was afraid of him. But I don't recall any instances of a white officer shooting a big white guy. I recall instances of a white officer shooting a big Black guy. But anyways, I mean, if you don't want to listen to that argument and you're saying it's because of the size, they're afraid of the size, well then take a look at this picture to the right. This is a picture of a 12-year-old boy who was shot dead by a police officer. Reports came in that he was playing with a gun and he was unstable and he might shoot somebody and he was pointing it at people. It was a play gun. It was a pretend gun of no harm to anybody. But the police shot him within 4 seconds of a rivalry. I am absolutely positive if this was a white child, that would not have occurred. They would have at least given him a chance, but they didn't even give him a chance. They shot him down immediately. This proves my point that the race has a huge impact on a cop's decision making in a given moment. In conclusion, I don't think our world and our nation can progress at all unless we stop this mindset of police officers, unless we stand together and see people as what they are, human beings, not based on their race, not based on discriminations and stereotypes, but as human beings. Thank you for listening.